beauty of Endeavor and the beauty of Endeavor Outliers is you have hundreds of peers from around the world who've been there and done that, but in slightly different markets, who can share learnings, who can share their own mistakes, and you can learn from.
Absolutely. So I've been in Nigeria for 30 plus years. I grew up here. I did my schooling here. Post my schooling in Nigeria, I went back to India to do my engineering. It's in electronics and computer science. And post my engineering, I joined software consulting. I worked in Bangalore for 3 years and got an opportunity to come to Nigeria to work with one of the FMCG companies, multinational group, and took up the opportunity, learned about how FMCG products are being produced and distributed across the country, and then started on my own on the journey of entrepreneurship. Started with a venture called WeConnect. It was a local search engine supporting small and medium scale businesses to find their customers and engage with them. Did that for 6 years and then exited, and in 2019 started OmniRetail. Yeah, my dad was a textile engineer early in life, because most of the textile factories are in rural areas. They require a lot of space, not the best schooling available in those places. So early in life, my dad moved me to a hostel. I grew up in hostel life, and then when they were moving to Nigeria, they decided I'll join them because there were good schools available here as well. Yeah, that's how my family was structured. It's a small family. I don't have any siblings. I'm the only child. My mom, my mother, my father, and myself. While working here, I met with my wife, Karishma. We got married. We have a child who is 10 years old now. So distribution of essential goods, majority of that goes through small and medium scale retailers. We call mom and pop stores or neighborhood stores. And the challenge was these stores did not have an ecosystem which could sustain them, which could provide them the support that is required to help them grow. And that was the problem we wanted to solve. We wanted to find a way that we could enable these businesses to grow. They employ the highest number of people in the country. They move the maximum amount of goods in the country. They are responsible for each consumer household getting everything they need in their neighborhood stores. So we wanted to find a way, if we can take this particular part of the economy and digitize it and help them solve their problems, we would have solved a significant problem which has a great impact. No, absolutely. At the beginning, a lot of people thought something is wrong. You just exited one startup. It was not the best exit. And now you are getting into a category which is not digitized. Retailers in Nigeria don't use phones. Distributors in Nigeria don't use technology. And you want to start again in FMCG, building an e-commerce platform? A lot of people laughed at me. And then what they laughed about is we wanted to do an asset light distribution, that we didn't want to own any warehouses. We didn't want to own any logistics. That's not possible, is what I heard again and again. And yeah, there were some people in the ecosystem, my mentor, some of my team members from WeConnect, my family, who supported me that, okay, if you see something there, try it, but be conscious of it. If it is not working, you don't have to. I think our first step into this category was to enable manufacturers get visibility of their distributors to bring in efficiency. When we rolled it out, manufacturers had to provide different incentives for the distributors to start using the application. But the quality of data that was being generated, it was phenomenal, and manufacturers were really happy with it. That was one point. And the second point was, I think, a very low point in the global economy was the period of COVID. It was an unexpected thing. Nobody had planned for it. And at that point in time, when we realized that without digitization, without technology, without actually having to move into the market, it's going to be difficult for the retailers to continue their business. That's where we realized that we're onto something. This is here to stay, and people are going to scale on this. Yeah. So the earliest version of OmniRetail, uh, yeah, you're absolutely right. It was called OmniBiz. Was a basic app for the retailers to place their orders, a basic inventory management solution, a short lease warehouse, and a couple of us in the backend trying to collate the orders and put everything together and supply. Everyone did everything. There were no titles, there were no structures. We were only focused on ensuring this retailer who has placed an order comes back to place the next order. Yeah, when we started seeing that manufacturers reached out to us and they moved distribution of an entire state or a couple of states in a zone onto the platform, we realized this is the need of the hour. Manufacturers have worked without digitization for a very long time. They have worked with standalone Salesforce automation, which does not link payments, which does not link customer verification. We had built a robust solution which was connecting all different parts. So we felt we are onto something. Manufacturers will be excited, and if we can service 2 or 3 manufacturers successfully, we would be ready to onboard hundreds of them. Today we are a little over 1,000 people. So I think the biggest dream that we all dreamt together was, you've heard of many brands from various parts of the world, from the smallest of countries, who have made it big, who have made global brands. But how many global brands from Nigeria do you know? Which sell in the US, which sell in the UK, which sell in various other parts of the world? Not many. And one of the reasons is because every global brand, whether it's coming from Belgium, whether it's coming from India, they've had a market. They've been able to capture their market in their home country. They've built capacity there, and then they have the strength to do global operations. In our case, most of the brands struggle in local distribution. So by the time they fix their local distribution, they don't have the capacity to expand globally. That's what we want to solve for. The dream that we have is tomorrow we should be in a position to help brands, indigenous brands from Nigeria, scale into various parts of Africa, but not just Africa, become actual global brands. That's the vision that we have. A supply chain, digital infrastructure, which enable brands to compete with global brands. So I think CPP is all three of them: culture, process, and product. We are not a pure tech company. It is a tech plus operations. And most important, it is people first. We care for our customers, we care for our people. So we would say the culture part of the business is strong. The strongest thing about our culture is the ownership mindset and is the feeling of being comfortable with ambiguity. We don't claim to know everything. We are very comfortable with not knowing it, with not being perfect, and still taking the first step. If we wait to be perfect, we know we might not move. So that culture of what we know today is a good stepping stone to move forward to tomorrow, is embedded in each and every one in the leadership team. The processes have been built well over a period of time into the product. All our processes are tech enabled. We don't do any manual collections in terms of payments. We don't do any manual deliveries without technology. So we had to build our processes on pen and paper and then digitize them to make sure we have the scalability, or we can attain the scalability that we want. Oh, I wish I had a co-founder. Partnership is very important to each one of us. And I think having a partner takes away a lot of burden, takes away a lot of load. You have someone to bounce things off with, you have someone to share your joys and your sorrows with. And entrepreneurship journey can be lonely and overwhelming sometimes. So having a partner would have been great. Being a solo founder, you have your pros as well. There are cons of being lonely, but there are pros. Your decision taking is faster. The balancing act reduces. You don't have to satisfy egos, satisfy emotions. You can be very swift about taking decision, moving things forward. And I feel that's at the core of me. So I think I'm blessed in that manner. Even though I'm a solo founder, I've got an ecosystem of people supporting me. It starts with my family, giving me the support that I require. I have got team members who've been with me for more than 10 years, all the way from my previous startup, and I can share a lot with them. I can depend on them. I've also been blessed with great mentors who I see family in and can share openly without the feeling of being judged. I've recently also joined a lot of networks, and Endeavor being one of the networks where you have peers who have seen and experienced the sort of pressure you experience as an entrepreneur on day-to-day life, and sharing with them and bouncing off ideas with them gives you a lot of comfort. So I think there are various points in an entrepreneur's journey where we feel we've conquered the world, but also where we feel everything is going to fall apart. There have been some points where I have felt that things are not going to move forward. And I will share a few of them, two of them. One was during the duration of COVID, we couldn't find the logistics provider we needed to supply the goods. We had a lot of demand, but because of the circumstances on the ground, we didn't have logistics providers to support us. And we felt that I don't know how things are going to work. We also, when we were raising our pre-series A, the news of collapse of a lot of B2B commerce companies across the world had started coming in. People started saying B2B commerce is not a viable model, it's loss making, no one is getting it right. And it became really difficult to raise capital because a lot of entrepreneurs had already raised significant amount of capital from VCs, and not many VCs were willing to experiment. And at some point in time, we felt things are going to fall apart. But then we had profitability and numbers on our side, and we were able to secure good funds and move forward. So I think it happens continuously in the journey where we feel we don't know what the next step is. We might not have a next step, but then we are able to figure it out. I think at the start of the journey, fear was skepticism. There was a feeling of uncertainty, which brought in fear. Today, fear is healthy. It keeps us grounded. It keeps us motivated. We have a long way to go, and the fear of not being able to keeps us motivated that you have to, keeps us challenged that you can. So I think it's a healthy relationship that we have with fear. It's a relationship of continuing to work hard and progress forward. Yeah, it gets difficult sometimes. I have my health conditions have fluctuated. There are times when you have a lot of pressure, when you're trying to close a round or raise capital, you haven't worked out in ages. But I'm trying consciously to keep mental health and physical health in check. So spend more time with family, spend more time with friends, and regularly get at least 3 to 4 days of workout in a week, so I can continue to be on this journey. So I think building and raising in Africa, two key things. One, people don't understand, the external world doesn't understand. To build in Africa is not just to build on an idea, it's to build on an ecosystem. Because the infrastructure around your idea might not be the best and your quality of service might be dependent on it. So it's really hard to build. And the idea around investment, I think there is this perspective of risk around investments in Africa. There are challenges, but I think we shouldn't be evaluated based on that risk perspective. We should be evaluated based on the actual numbers and the potential of the industry we are in. I'm not saying we should only get access to impact capital. I think there are some amazing opportunities in Africa and there are amazing founders who have executed phenomenally. I don't think they should be viewed with a lens of fear or of lack of opportunity. They should be viewed with their numbers and given the opportunity they would be given if they were elsewhere on the map. So a lot of people see us as a distributor or a e-commerce engine which buys from manufacturer and sells to retailer. I think that's just a small portion of what we do. What we really provide is we're building the largest digital infrastructure on a single platform which enables manufacturers to distribute their products. So if you and I were to start a snack company, we don't need to go out looking for warehouses. We don't need to look for fleet. We don't need to look for retailers, modern trade customers, HoReCa outlets, pharmacies that would buy our product. We would have it on a single platform. We can nudge them, send them notifications, they can place orders, and this platform and engine would service them. So you can do what you do best, is manufacture great products, and what this platform will do is distribute your products to the nooks and corners of the country. I think it was a no-brainer. Saying yes to Endeavor came naturally. If there's anyone who understands a lot about scaling startups in emerging markets, it's Endeavor. We're in an emerging market, we want to expand and we want to learn from the experience of various other entrepreneurs in the network. So we were super excited to be part of Endeavor. Oof, it's a detailed process. It is as extensive as a due diligence process of any early stage investment. And what they are selecting you for is not for investment or for a few years. They are partnering with you for a long term. So that's why they invest the sort of effort into selecting the right entrepreneurs. I think it exposed me to a lot of blindfolds in my thinking, helped me open up what globalization can do to our business, how partnerships can expand, what acquisitions can help us do and achieve. And that was very great. I think there are a couple of moments where Endeavor was really helpful, but top of mind, the one which was very helpful was when we were raising our last round. We reached out to the Endeavor team and they were super helpful. They opened up their connections, they connected us in the global ecosystem to global VCs, got us calls, put in a good word for us, and I think that was instrumental. Sitting in Nigeria, operating in Nigeria, executing in West Africa, sometimes you don't have that global connect, and becoming part of the network helps you get that global connect. If not for Endeavor, we wouldn't be thinking at the scale we are thinking today. I was very lucky to get the support, like I mentioned to you before. I have various veterans from the industry who have supported me in my journey of failing as the entrepreneur of WeConnect and in my journey of starting again. They still kept the belief on, and I'm grateful to them. I try and do that same thing. I want younger entrepreneurs to emerge. We invest in them by guiding them, and also have invested in 16 different startup companies whose business model I understand and can be useful in helping them scale in their journey. I think multiplier normally is assumed as multiplication of valuation and multiplication of profitability. Multiplier for me is multiplying the impact that we are creating. Uh, when we started the business, we were serving distributors and manufacturers. We expanded that and started serving retailers. Today, we are bringing not just commerce, but financial services embedded into the system. So, the sort of impact we have is we have energized or empowered every small business working in the FMCG small chain and given them the tools for them to grow. Not just the financial impact, but the impact of improving the lives around those small businesses is something we enjoy. Absolutely. So I think I will connect it back to your answer, uh, to your question of, oh, how does the global market see Nigerian opportunity? I think in the next 10 years, we will be evaluated for the effort and the opportunity that we put in, and will not be evaluated based on the perceived risk around the Nigeria or the Africa market. Entrepreneurs here will be exposed to the same exposure and opportunity and funding which they get globally. I would want to leave this ecosystem in a much stronger place, which has the capacity to build scalable, profitable businesses. I think Outliers was amazing. It was confirmation of the scale. So we were selected by Financial Times as fastest growing company twice in a row in Africa, but getting selected for Outliers was even bigger. It meant that whatever efforts we have put in our journey to scale have been recognized and rewarded. It was amazing. I think in the ecosystem, it's a belief that if you want to lend without collateral in the market, uh, you're in a risky business. What OmniRetail is proving is you don't necessarily have to have a physical collateral for you to run a successful business. We've built a mechanism where around payments, around your commerce transactions, we can build a data collateral that can enable your business to get access to scale working capital to scale the business. And I think that is phenomenal. This can help large number of small businesses who did not come from business families, who don't have an heritage of business, still have the potential to create their own business and create wealth for their family. I think it's a differentiator. I think by future is elsewhere, I believe for a very long time, innovation and startups were associated with Silicon Valley, a small part of United States. But future is elsewhere is, I don't think future innovation is restricted to any region or geography. Everyone is going to innovate based on the problems they see in their geographies and build scalable solutions. And that's why future is elsewhere or everywhere. Now, I think when we started, the definition of success was getting a few users who continue to use the system, who we can solve the problem for. The definition of success today has evolved. It's about transforming the FMCG market in Nigeria. It's about ensuring there are new products being launched, there are various price levels of products being available. So no one in no part of Nigeria, Ghana, West Africa, in any of the markets where we operate, has to compromise on their demands based on availability. Distribution should be so simplified through our platform that everyone has access to essential goods. we're deeply embedded in the largest economic sector, the FMCG trade. And what's next for us is to be able to empower these with the SME banking, the SME financial services that the small businesses need. The corporate banking has always been built for corporates or for high net worth individuals. Retail has not been at the core of planning and structuring what banking should look like, what financial services do they deserve. As OmniRetail, we are trying to build financial service product around the commerce ecosystem, and I think that's what's next for us. Night Owl, LinkedIn. I think 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel. I think I really admire Tosin from MoneyPoint. What they have achieved is phenomenal, and how they have scaled. I think execution has been at the core of their business, and they have done a phenomenal job. And I think a global entrepreneur I admire is Steve Jobs. Persistence is more important than good luck. Yeah. So we would love to expand in all countries within the West African space, simply because anyone who wants to bring in a product, whether a global product or start a new product within any country in West Africa, should be on the platform, and they shouldn't be bounded by the restriction of borders. They should be able to produce or import in one country in West Africa and distribute across. I think the most important habit which I am working on and have tried to adopt is listen more, and listen more.